We would commence the proceedings of our program with the introductory remarks by the Honorable Senator Muhammad Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent, Honorable Prime Minister of Pakistan, Muhammad Shehbaz Sharif, Excellencies, Director Generals of Vienna-based international organizations, permanent representatives of the diplomatic missions in Vienna, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. It is a distinct privilege to deliver opening remarks at this August Assembly at the United Nations office in Vienna, a city renowned for its rich diplomatic traditions and active role in multilateral negotiations. I extend my sincere thanks to the Vienna-based international organizations, particularly the IAEA, UNIDO, UNODC and UNUSA for the leadership and continued engagement, as well as to the esteemed diplomatic corps for your presence today. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, your role has become increasingly critical and challenging as the world navigates a turbulent period of transformation. Pakistan remains steadfast in its commitment to the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, recognizing the indispensable role of the United Nations in global peace, security, sustainable development, and the promotion of human rights. We firmly believe the UN must be strengthened, adequately resourced, and reformed to meet the realities of a multipolar world and emerging global challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to discuss a fundamental truth that peace and development are inseparable. Shared development cannot be sustained without peace, and peace cannot endure without shared development. This principle guided the formulation and adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Goals. The SDGs provide a comprehensive framework to tackle poverty, inequality, resource scarcity, and their uneven distribution. The mandates of the UN organizations in Vienna are closely linked to this peace development nexus, and Pakistan takes pride in its constructive engagement with these pillars of global governance. Ladies and gentlemen, the unique mandates of the UN and other international organizations based in Vienna are intrinsically linked to this peace development link. Therefore, Pakistan takes immense pride in its constructive engagement with these vital pillars of global governance. We deeply appreciate the role of the IAEA in promoting peaceful applications of nuclear technology for global peace and development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are also committed to further strengthen our partnership with UN Office on Drugs and Crime for strengthening the rule of law and countering crimes that drain development resources. As a driver of inclusive and sustainable industrialization, UNIDO is central to Pakistan's efforts in poverty eradication, increasing sources of employment, and transitioning towards cleaner and more resilient industries. Recognizing the growing importance of space technology for sustainable development, Pakistan supports UN Office for Outer Space Affairs in ensuring that outer space remains a sustainable and equitable domain for all. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, let me express my deep appreciation for your presence today. It reflects our shared commitment to multilateralism, the UN system, and collective actions towards global peace and security, sustainable development, climate action, poverty eradication, health, human rights, and the fight against drugs, crimes, corruption, and terrorism. Pakistan remains committed to working with all partners for a future where peace, prosperity, and sustainable development go hand in hand. I thank you all.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Rafael Mariano Grossi, Director General IAEA, to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much. Warm welcome to you, sir. We are honored that you are taking time in your schedule and your travels to stop by here, the place where important matters are dealt with multilaterally. Deputy Prime Minister for mentioning in these times of tribulation the importance of the United Nations, the importance of multilateral answers to pressing issues of our global significance. As far as the work with the IAEA and Pakistan is present and active on a range of important matters, ranging, of course, from the peaceful uses of nuclear energy. I have had the opportunity to visit different facilities in Pakistan, including the last unit in construction, Chasma, quite impressive, and see how the percentage of the nuclear component is helping the development of your country. It is very important, and you do it hand in hand with the IAEA. But I wanted also to highlight, perhaps less known to colleagues that are not dealing with these matters day to day, the richness of our collaboration in issues dealing with human health, in particular oncology, where Pakistan has...
Excellencies, Director Generals of Vienna-based international organizations, permanent representatives of diplomatic missions, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. It is a great honor to address this distinguished gathering at the United Nations office in Vienna, a city that has long symbolized diplomacy, multilateralism, and the pursuit of peace through dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, today we meet at a moment of profound global transformation and consequence. Our world stands at crossroads. We face intertwined crises. The defining danger of our time is not any single threat, rather it's the combination of many. Geopolitical hostility, climate stress, and technological disruption are all converging into a single destabilizing force. The planet is facing a moment of polycrisis. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know fully well that a growing global population is fast depleting the finite natural resources of our planet. Unresolved political conflicts add further fuel to this volatile mix, turning into a powder keg. Poverty, debt traps, mass displacement, and migration are powerful threat accelerators that intensify tensions, making the world an ever more dangerous place to live. Excellencies, this is only one route to durable peace, to the peace that withstands the crisis of our times. It is the route of sustainable development, inclusive, sustainable development that leaves no one behind. It is humanity's ultimate prevention tool, and therefore it is need of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, development cannot be called sustainable if it excludes millions from the promise of a better life. We must therefore pursue policies that promote inclusion, strengthen social protection, and ensure equitable distribution of resources. Only then can we raise living standards, reduce inequalities, and build societies where prosperity is shared and human dignity is preserved. Ladies and gentlemen, while sustainable development is a universal goal, we must acknowledge that its burdens and benefits are not equally distributed amongst community of nations. Developing countries, despite contributing least to global emissions and historical inequities, bear the heaviest cost of climate change, debt distress, and economic volatility. Pakistan's own experience is illustrative. We stand at the front lines of the climate crisis, not through any fault of ours, but as one of its most disproportionate victims. We contribute less than 1% of global emissions, yet we bear the brunt of cascading impacts. The devastating floods of 2022 are still fresh in our memories. It claimed thousands of lives, washed away millions of acres of standing crop, and millions of houses were annihilated and razed to ground. Last year, the floods unfortunately returned again, with vengeance this time. Ladies and gentlemen, these disasters do more than destroy homes, crops, and infrastructure. They erode human security at its core. Therefore, sustainable development must be anchored in equity, justice, and fair play. Without these principles, global peace will remain elusive forever. Distinguished participants, despite formidable challenges, Pakistan remains firmly committed to the ideals of sustainable development. We have integrated the sustainable development goals into our national development planning, recognizing that economic growth must be inclusive, resilient, and responsible. Our focus is on human development, education, healthcare, food security, and social protection, particularly for women and youth, who represent our greatest asset and our future. In Pakistan, we are having a youth bulge. Therefore, it is a great challenge as well as a great opportunity. We are strengthening institutions, promoting digital transformation, and expanding regional connectivity to foster shared prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan has consistently advocated dialogue, diplomacy, and multilateralism as the only viable means to resolve disputes and prevent conflict. This is despite the fact that we are often faced by aggression, violation of UNSC resolutions, and violation of vital treaties. Just last year, when South Asia came back from the brink of a major nuclear conflict, regrettably, our neighbor threatened to weaponize the waters of the Indus River system that sustain the lives and livelihoods of Pakistan's 240 million people. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are committed to sustainable development, we must acknowledge a sobering truth: the multilateral order that underpins global peace and cooperation is most definitely undergoing great stress. Now, more than ever, the United Nations must be reinforced, properly resourced, and reformed where necessary so it can continue to serve as a central pillar of global cooperation. Excellencies, Vienna occupies a unique place in the UN system. It is home to critical pillars of global governance: counter-terrorism, drugs, crime prevention, criminal justice reforms, industrial development, responsible and the peaceful uses of nuclear technology and outer space. Pakistan, therefore, greatly values its constructive engagement with IAEA, UNIDO, UNODC, and other Vienna-based entities, and we remain completely committed to supporting their mandates. Excellencies, capacity building, knowledge sharing, and technology transfer are indispensable to ensuring that innovation serves as a bridge to peace and prosperity rather than a source of exclusion and instability. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and emerging technologies must be governed in ways that benefit all of humanity, not a privileged few. Unaddressed digital divides will soon become entrenched development divides. Therefore, let us not merely address the festering wounds of our world, let us heal them at their source. For when we fail to meet the development needs of our time, we place the peace of our future at great risk. Thank you all. God bless you.
وزیراعظم محمد شہباز شریف کا دورہ آسٹریا ویانا میں پاکستان اور اقوام متحدہ کے مختلف اداروں کے مابین تعاون کے معاہدوں پر دستخط کی یہ تقریب ہے جس کے مناظر بھی آپ اپنی ٹی وی اسکرین پر دیکھ سکتے ہیں. وزیراعظم محمد شہباز شریف تقریب میں موجود ہیں اور انسٹیٹیوٹ آف نیوکلیئر میڈیسن اینڈ آنکولوجی لاہور اور IAEA کے مابین تعاون کا یہ معاہدہ ہے اور نائب وزیر اعظم محمد اسحاق ڈار اور عالمی جوہری توانائی ایجنسی کے ڈائریکٹر جنرل نے معاہدے پر دستخط کر دیے ہیں. یہ مناظر بھی آپ اپنی ٹی وی اسکرین پر دیکھ سکتے ہیں. انسٹیٹیوٹ آف نیوکلیئر میڈیسن اینڈ آنکولوجی لاہور کے مابین تعاون کا یہ معاہدہ ہے. نائب وزیر اعظم محمد اسحاق ڈار اور عالمی جوہری توانائی ایجنسی کے ڈائریکٹر جنرل نے معاہدے پر دستخط کیے ہیں جس کے مناظر آپ اپنی ٹی وی اسکرینز پر دیکھ سکتے ہیں. UNODC کنٹری پروگرام برائے پاکستان کے معاہدے پر نائب وزیر اعظم محمد اسحاق ڈار اور UNODC کے قائم مقام ایگزیکٹو ڈائریکٹر نے دستخط کر دیے ہیں. آپ کو بتائیں کہ UNODC کنٹری پروگرام برائے پاکستان کے معاہدے پر نائب وزیر اعظم محمد اسحاق ڈار اور UNODC کے قائم مقام ایگزیکٹو ڈائریکٹر نے دستخط کر دیے ہیں. وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف کا دورہ آسٹریلیا ویانا میں پاکستان اور اقوام متحدہ کے مختلف اداروں کے مابین تعاون کے معاہدوں پر دستخط کی یہ تقریب ہے. آپ کو بتائیں کہ انسٹیٹیوٹ آف نیوکلیئر میڈیسن اینڈ آنکولوجی لاہور اور IAEA کے مابین تعاون کا معاہدہ نائب وزیر اعظم محمد اسحاق ڈار اور عالمی جوہری توانائی ایجنسی کے ڈائریکٹر جنرل نے معاہدے پر دستخط کر دیے. UNODC اور کنٹری پروگرام برائے پاکستان کے معاہدے پر نائب وزیر اعظم محمد اسحاق ڈار اور UNODC کے قائم مقام ایگزیکٹو ڈائریکٹر نے دستخط کر دیے ہیں. پاکستان کے لیے یونیڈو پروگرام برائے کنٹری پارٹنرشپ 2025 تا 2030 کے معاہدے پر نائب وزیر اعظم محمد اسحاق ڈار اور ڈپٹی ڈائریکٹر جنرل یونیڈو نے معاہدے پر دستخط کیے ہیں جس کے مناظر آپ اپنی ٹی وی اسکرین پر دیکھ سکتے ہیں. اب سے کچھ دیر پہلے یہ دستخط کیے گئے ہیں ویانا میں